Okay, this is gonna be weird for me because I'm doing this from a different setup than normal. And it's also just really weird. Setup than normal. And so I'm getting used to it because everything is a lot lower quality than I'm used to, but also just generally different quality than I'm used to. So if it seems kind of funny, and it probably does, it's for a reason. So I apologize ahead of time. It may get weird, but we're gonna do our best. Is what we're gonna do. But hello. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I think my downside is that I may have to mess with calibration every so often because it looks like some of my stuff is off a bit because this is I had to use my Mac, but the problem is my fan is running crazy high anyway, so this may or may not work. It may defeat the purpose because my Mac fan is just as loud because it's trying to run numerous programs at the same time, and my Mac is not built for this. Yeah, but okay. It's also just different for me generally. Um, thanks. No, you're cute. I'm insulted. I am definitely not a succubus. No. Oh, this quality is horrible. That's okay. Well, if my fan continues to run like this, I may have to swap anyway because it can't facilitate the sound. Um, hmm. Let me see. Let me see if Adobe picks it up. Hold on. Hey, Shmanu. Testing 1, 2, 3. Actually, let me set back some. Testing 1. Let's see. Yeah, it's different. I'm getting live monitoring too. That's not what I want. Okay, preamp. Testing 1. Test. God, that fan is so loud. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. It might be okay. Good morning, Devoid. All right, let's see if we can sort this. One moment. Let's see if I can figure out what I have done wrong. Do 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 do. Okay. No. Do do do. I will make myself larger. There we go. Okay. Thanks. All right. She just blended in with the background. All right. So again, I'm just still kind of getting used to the setup on a lot of this. So there will probably be kinks and bugs specifically related to this model and the way that this is going to be going. So don't be surprised if things fall apart a little bit because, again, this is not my usual setup in the slightest. I'm kind of just praying it doesn't fall apart. I can't use my standard PC setup for something like this because it is intended to be used for recording. So, yeah. But I am glad to see that I think that this will work for ASMR related bedtime streams and things. So that's a good sign. All right, let me get everything set up and we'll go from there. Why is my bitrate suffering? I don't understand. That's gotta be a Mac thing. Trash. Trash everywhere. It's all just a bunch of trash. Great. Trash. Why? Why trash? Trash. I don't understand, but I'm not gonna mess with it. He's letting out the bits, I'm sure. Me. I'm the window, and I'm open. It's a learning experience. We're all gonna learn. Because I don't know. This could go 100% poorly. I'm just trying my best to make it work. So, all right, I actually have to get to work. So, as usual, I am going to be. Actually, let me set that up now because I'm gonna make sure. I put up a little disclaimer since I don't have one made. Were to be a lot calmer, depending on what we're narrating. In this instance, it's a little different because I have work that I have to narrate. So, all right, let's do this. Let me do this. I haven't turned off the sound on the rewards yet, but I have my headphones in, so I think it'll be okay. Worst case, I'll just mute it. Do do do. Do. Okay. All right. That's live now, so that should be better. Oh, I didn't hear that. It may go off for you guys, but I didn't hear it, so I think we're fine. Bet. Okay. No, I think we're good. Okay. Now my fan is my only concern. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. In this case, I think it'll be okay. I cannot. It's doing all the workins. It's doing so much work. It's working so hard. Okay. I will go under the ASMR tag because technically there's no other actual tag for me, I guess. Okay. We will get ready to read. Big Boba. I have book. Oh God, I have book. Okay. There. Oh, it won't last for long. Don't get excited. Oh, that's not what I wanted, but okay. You go off then. Thank you, book. Okay. All right. We have book. We have stuff. We are live, I think. And now we can read. Okay, great. So this will go like normal. I'll respond in between. Those of you who have been around for narrations before kind of already know what's happening. I will respond when I can. I'm going to go back to normal stuff, and then I will do introductions as normal. Please don't throw things at people. Or do. I don't actually care. You throw everything at each other. I don't mind. It's not my business. I am here to facilitate. That's all. It's good. It's fine. Creepy Mystery Theater 3000. You know. All right. Let me actually do this while I'm thinking about it also, so that I don't miss this. Just finishing final setups, and then we will get it all settled, guys. Give me just a second here. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 do 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 boop 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 we're almost done. Dun 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 dun. We're almost done. Dun 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 dun. Almost done. Just one more minute. Do 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 do. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Bum. Bum 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 bum. Boo boo. Okay. Boop 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 boop. Okay, done. Yes. That's it. Mouth noise compilation. Okay, let's get started. Oh, I guess I should have like a now narrating thingy. Hold on, I didn't think about that. Now narrating. What are we narrating first? Hmm. Give, give, give. Thank you. Give defaults. Oh, cancel. No filters. Opacity. Okay. I think we're set up. More or less. I'll take it. Seems okay. Yes? Yes. Okay. We will take it. All right. Let me do a hydrate. No, no more reverse harems. No, these are all for. So, I am narrating for ChillingApp today. Um. All right. Let's see. I did finish that book finally. I did it off screen though because I just needed to get it done. But that one is finished. Okay. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1. All right, yeah, that sounds good. Kicky Kids Funland by Like I Did. They were always there, not actively present, but sitting somewhere in the deepest back of my mind. The memories. Memories of long slides and big trampolines, as well as colorful tables where we had snacks and juice boxes. Memories of a climbing tower with leaves and tree branches where you could climb like a monkey. The monkey trees are the most vivid ones for some reason. The rest are mainly colors and a few noises. Noises of children's laughter and repetitive music, very faint somewhere in the background. As a child, you don't notice music as much. The colors I see when I try to think of Funland are mostly green. Probably the monkey jungle I'm thinking about, but there are hints of bright pink and yellow too. Most distant memories of activities I did as a little kid are like that. I'm 23 now. Pretty long ago, so I suppose it makes sense. It also makes sense that I remember blurbs of colors instead of real events and faces. I must have been 6 or 7 then. I can't say for sure because of the gaps in my head. Well, my mind. The children's funland with the monkey climbing trees, music, snacks, and music. It would be one of those memories you simply have of your childhood. You don't remember it all, but it is still a fine piece of nostalgia buried somewhere inside of you. I've done loads of stuff as a kid. Nobody actively thinks of it on a regular basis, and the only reason I am starting this trip down memory lane now is because for some unspeakable reason, the Kicky Kids Funland suddenly became completely sharp and vivid, and that is not how brains are supposed to work. It sounds bonkers, I know. Odd because I know what the blurry memories look like, and so strange because now I can distinguish between those and the new ones I suddenly have. The vivid ones. Sounds strange? Yeah, it is, but that's not all. The memories didn't only come back to me, but also to Maxie Miller's, my childhood best friend who I probably are. I hadn't been drinking in forever and my tolerance was crazy low. After basically falling into a coma back at home, I had the most vivid dream. The following morning, my eyes opened wide as the beams of light shining through the drapes kissed, or rather, hit my face. First, there was pain. I'd forgotten how horrible hangovers can be, but then I repressed the pain to focus on the last dream I had that night. The dream that woke up all those memories of Kicky Kids Land. Suddenly it felt as if all of it happened only yesterday, and I even wondered if I'd somehow gone there while being completely hammered. You know how you always see yourself in a third-person perspective when you think of something that happened? Well, I saw child Jamie running around the plastic, or rather trampoline-like soft floor. It was all green. Forest green tiles mixed with poison green once. They bounced a little when you ran fast enough, and we always did. That's when I remembered Maxie. Well, I never forgot about his existence, of course. We simply weren't as close after going to different high schools. Tiny pink plastic tables with rainbow-colored chairs around them, which seemed much bigger then. The same irritating tune repeating over and over again and accompanied by children screaming, laughing, and crying. Our parents must have left with a migraine each time. I was surprised by how vivid those memories suddenly were, and for the first time in years I kind of missed my old friend and wondered how he'd been doing. The headache was suddenly very much present again. I groaned and tried to suppress the pain just a little longer as I reached for my phone on my bedside table, and as if he somehow had read my mind, I saw a Facebook message from Maxie. M. Hey man, how's it going? Typical Max. We hadn't spoken in years, and he texted as if we never stopped being friends. What the hell? I mumbled to myself. This was too much of a coincidence. Had he somehow read my mind? Well, it turned out that I had no idea how much further this would go. After a little bit of chit-chat, I got to the point and told him about my dream, about my memories of Kicky Kids, and that I saw him in my dream. That last part sounded really weird, and I almost regretted saying it until he texted back. M. No way, Jamie. That's exactly why I texted you. I had a dream like that. I broke a cold sweat, not knowing whether it was due to my hangover or the absurdity of the situation. It was all too crazy, but luckily my old friend agreed. I wasn't alone in losing my mind. M. Do you remember where it was? Can't find it on Google. Where it was? Can't find it on Google. A few painkillers and called my mom. Her memories were even more blurry than mine. She said we went to a couple of different places for kids back then, and she was right. Kicky Kids didn't ring a bell, but then again, she didn't remember any of the names. Finally, my friend Max did find something, though, on some forum of our town, and after talking about it some more, we decided to meet again to catch up with some coffee and take a walk towards the industrial area where the Kicky building was supposed to be. What could harm be in checking it out after all? I mean, they probably shut it down, right? We spent more than 2 hours at a cafe Max suggested near the district he moved to. He only moved back recently after his dad broke his hips out. One moment. He only moved back recently after his dad broke his hips to help out and stuff. He had been in a relationship during most of college, but they broke up more than 6 months ago. However, that was most of the catching up we did. For the rest of the 2 hours, we sat there talking about our childhood. The only common topic we had. Finally, we addressed the elephant in the room. How the hell did we have the same dream last night? I stayed silent for a second. I'd been thinking about it all day. I'm not exactly a superstitious person. I studied psychology. I'm aware of the ability of our minds. Maybe we saw some commercials, subconsciously woke up that memory? Maybe. It's still weird, though. I swear I remember every second. Like, every. Even how you fell on the floor and messed up your knee. I swallowed. That was exactly what I had seen in my dream before I woke up this morning. For some reason, that particular moment didn't feel cheerful. Or maybe I'm thinking that because I woke up with a racing heartbeat. Now Max was grinning. Want to go check it out? I nodded. That was the main reason we met up, after all. Neither of us expected it to still be around. Many old places were shut down, especially in the industry area. And if it was still there, we would have found it more easily online. That's why we stood with our mouths wide open as we looked up to the enormous green neon sign that read, Kicky Kids Land, fun for young and old. I gulped. Looks exactly the same, Max said as if reading my mind. I expected the building to appear old or run down, but it was clean, and the sign is lit up, which means there is electricity. They are still open, I said. Should we go in? Hell yeah, it says young and old, right? I grinned, and I swore at that moment it didn't matter that we had lost touch for years. It felt as if I was back with my best friend, and we were up for a crazy adventure. The door was open, and as we entered the entry hall, I could already hear the familiar music in the distance. There was a big desk in front of us where you could pay, but there were no other people. What now? I asked. Max shrugged and then pointed towards the big door, which formed a half circle with a thin curtain hanging down from it. That's how you got to the main hall of the Funland. We could hear laughter and music coming from behind it. That was the first moment in which I got a little nervous. We had been acting pretty impulsively. Should we go? I asked. Inside? Max misinterpreted. I meant to leave, but now I was really curious. We could take one tiny peek and leave afterward. Max led the way, and I followed. Before we knew it, we stood in the hall fun. Before we knew it, we stood in the fun hall of Kicky Kids Land. It looked exactly the way I remembered it. The plastic tables, the gummy floor, and rainbow chairs. There were colorful slides and even indoor swing sets. The walls were painted with teddy bears and lollipops and fire trucks. Everything looked exactly the way it did back then, but it was incredibly eerie. There's no one here, Max whispered. I swallowed. I could have sworn that I heard children laughing and screaming, even. Now all we heard was the music. Max and I looked at each other. Maybe they're getting ready to close down? It's pretty late. He nodded. A knot was tightening in my stomach. We should get going, I said as I took one more look around the big hall. But then I noticed something. Wait, where's the jungle gym? Where you could climb? Max took another step inside, and I reluctantly followed. He'd always been a little braver. Or dumber. That wasn't here, he answered after a bit. That was a different Funland or whatever. Are you sure? How many of these are there? Max didn't answer. He was now confidently walking towards the other side of the hall. There's someone there, he exclaimed. Hello, he shouted. What the hell, man? I hissed. We're not even supposed to be here. As I caught up to him, I saw the person he was talking about. But they didn't look quite regular. Is that a clown? I asked, but didn't expect an answer. The tall man had white makeup on his face, was wearing a red wig and a big red nose, as well as a black and white clown costume. He started moving towards us, but not in a regular manner. He was somehow jumping while walking extremely slowly. I grabbed Max's arm and got ready to get the hell out of here, but then the man smiled and waved. I absolutely hate clowns, Max whispered. Only then I noticed how tense he was. I suppose his confidence was slowly fading. "Hello," the clown called back in the same tone as Max. I'm not sure if my friend noticed as well, but somehow his voice even sounded like his. "Hey, sorry, we just came in here. We wanted to see if this place still looked the same as it did when we were kids, you know?" I nervously laughed. The man came closer, and I noticed that it wasn't makeup on his face, but a mask. "Hey, this place is sorry. I hate kids," the man said. Now his voice was even stranger. It partly sounded like Max, but also somehow like me. Is he screwing with us? Max tried to joke, but I could clearly hear the nervous undertone in his voice. "Let's get the hell out of here." But as I turned around to where the exit should be, I realized that it wasn't there. The door wasn't where we had come from. All I saw in front of me were colorful toys in giant sizes and climbing racks or slides. Something had changed while we were inside, and I cursed myself for not listening to my gut and following a guy I hadn't talked to in years. Suddenly, I even wondered if I really ever came to Kicky's before. Suddenly, everything seemed utterly and awfully wrong. I felt as if I was waking up from a trance. Why was I here? Why was there music and light, but no people except for one clown? And why was there no proof of this place even existing? I hadn't thought about it until this day, and apparently it had melted with other memories of mine. Has it been planted inside of my mind? I looked at my old friend who suddenly didn't seem that familiar anymore. I blacked out pretty bad last night. Had he done something to me? Was this even the Maxie Millers I remembered? I looked back, but the clown was gone. The clown was gone, but the sound of children playing and laughing was back. Except now the two of us seemed to be alone in this massive hall. I didn't even look at Max again. I simply started running. If I couldn't find the door, at least I needed to get away from him. I ran towards something that seemed to be a ball pit. The music and laughter got louder, and my mind was too overwhelmed to even think clearly. This couldn't be a prank. The door disappeared. It was there a few minutes ago. I kept running without a safe goal, and as I tried to quickly turn around to see if he was following me, I tripped. I tripped and fell to the ground with my knee hitting the ground so hard that my arms quickly followed. As I tried to get back up, I saw him, the clown, standing right in front of me. "Not supposed to be here. Hell is fun," he said in that voice that was both mine and the one of Max. I wanted to get up, but my body was frozen. I could hardly even breathe. Only when I thought it couldn't get worse, he proceeded to take off his mask. And underneath revealed something so utterly wrong and uncanny that I will never be able to wipe it off my mind. His face had been sewed out of different parts of human faces. I was sure this moment would be my last until someone grabbed my arm and started pulling. "Move!" Max shouted. And as I didn't know what else to do, I followed. We ran to the other side of the hall where the door had suddenly appeared back out of nowhere. I was certain it had been in a whole different corner when we came in, but it didn't matter. We ran and ran until we pushed open the glass door and we were back out on the street. I fell again, and so did Max, but we were outside. Completely out of breath, I turned my head around just a bit to see if we were being followed. The clown wasn't behind us. No. Not only was he gone, Kicky Kidsland wasn't behind us either. All we saw was an old gray All we saw was an old gray brick building. No sign and no music. It was the middle of the day, and while there weren't that many people out on this street, it seemed completely normal. As if we hadn't just jumped out of a nightmare. I looked at Max, who was just as out of breath as me, and who appeared just as shocked, and I felt guilty for believing that he tried to lure me in there. For believing that he wasn't himself. He was the one who saved me. "How did you find the exit?" I finally muttered, as we were getting away from the street as fast as we possibly could. I was leaning on Max because I could hardly walk. He grabbed his phone with sweaty hands to call for help, though I had no idea what we would even say. "The walls move," he finally said after taking a deep breath. I remembered from my dream. I remembered the Funland vaguely, the one with the monkey climbing park. That one was real. Max and I really did go there. Kicky Kids Land did not exist, and neither did the memories we had of it. Of course, it couldn't have. The memories were far too sharp to be real. I have no idea who or what planted them in our heads to lure us to that place, but we were lucky we got out alive. Creepy, scary, spooky. Pass. Up on a final form on ChillingApp once it's done. Too spooky for me. Thanks. This is just one of several. Also, thank you for the follow. Sorry the bitrate keeps going in and out. I'm not sure what's happening with that. Unfortunately, though, I can't fix it if I don't understand what's happening. But I think it's a Mac issue, which is really unsurprising, so I'm sorry. Okay, on to the next story. Everything seems like it's still going relatively smooth, at least, I think. So, we'll keep going. Okay. Let's see what happens. Doop, 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 doop. Well, it only does this when I'm on my laptop, which my laptop is a Mac, to be fair, so I think that's part of it. It's also, like I said, the quality is not going to be the same as if I'm on my regular computer, so it's a lot of things. But that's also just part of this. Yeehaw bang bang. Okay. This one sounds weird. I don't know. We'll see how this one goes. Wound Cubes by Peace Sim. I've always wanted to help people. Growing up, I saw myself being a world-renowned brain surgeon, ridding the world's population of the dreaded glioblastoma and anaplastic astrocytoma. Yeah, that's okay. We're going to start over completely because I was not prepared for medical terminology on this run, but that's fine. We're just going to start over completely. It's fine. Get some help. Okay. Thanks for being patient while I try to navigate like all of the ins and outs of dealing with this from a computer perspective because this is not what I was ready for. Okay. Wound Cubes by Peace Sim. I have always wanted to help people. Actually, I'll give you guys an opportunity. So now that I've kind of tested out how this is going to work, would you like me to continue using my using Unicorn, whom you have not formally officially gotten to meet on like the actual personality standpoint, nor have you heard how she's supposed to sound, which I will do an introduction one of these days. Ellis and I will sit down and we'll go through everybody because right now Bam is complete, Wolfhead's human is complete, Unicorn is complete, and then I'm working on the formal official model for Tor, who is my actual VTuber, is on the way. She should hopefully be done by the end of the month, but you'll meet Tor at the end of the month. If not, her debut will be September. And then a few others, but they all are going to have jobs. So I can go back to my regular cam for now if you would like, or I can keep using Unicorn for the moment. So it's completely up to you guys, but I figured I would give you the opportunity of the say-so. So, your choice. It's literally just swapping the camera is all it is, and then closing down some things. But I flip a coin. I'm good either way. Oh, that was a heart. I could just flip Ellis. Yeah, flipping Ellis seems like it would be a lot more correct. No, but everybody here is just bad at choosing things, is all that tells me. You guys just don't want to make choices. Yeah. That's why I figured I would offer. 50-60. Okay, here. I'm going to take a quick bathroom break. And then I think. Oh, you know what? I don't think I can do that. I was going to literally put my little face cam up in the. Oh, maybe I can. Hold on. I'm going to try something. Hold on. I have an idea, but I have to go to the bathroom anyway, really quick. So I'll be right back. So, quick break. Hold on. Quick break. Quick break. If this will work or not. Okay. Hold on. Hold on. No, wait. Is it control? Nope. Control? Nope. This button? Nope. Option? Yes. Now you get both. Are we satisfied? Can we be happy with this? Oh, you decided to strap a GoPro to Ellis. No one informed me that that was an option, but good to know that that was in fact an option that I was not privy to. So I'm glad that that's what you guys decided. I will notify Ellis. I don't think we even have. Yeah, okay, we're good. I don't even think we have a GoPro anymore, but that's fine. There. Everybody's happy. We have both now. Now you get both. Like those barn cat POVs. Please stop. You guys are terrible. Okay, are we good with this? Are we happy? Can we be happy now? Actually, while I'm sitting here, let me see if there's something that I can do about fixing the bitrate, because I feel like I'm missing something obvious. It's weird because it's a Mac. It's like it says it's 6,000, but I don't think that's correct. Demonic's not allowed to make last unicorn jokes. That'll make me sad. Okay. Let me see. Let me try this. Maybe. Let me see if that did anything. Because it just keeps saying that the frame interval is too high, which I don't... Like, I'm not understanding. Yeah, don't make me get the spray bottle. Okay. We're just going to go with it. You guys have the best of both worlds. I gave you what you asked for. I gave you what you asked for. I will try to figure out what's going on between Mac and stuff like that, but yeah, it has to be TOS friendly or I'm not allowed. Okay. Now you guys get both. Enjoy. $50.60. We're not technically, this is just somewhat of a test stream anyway, so like you're getting the break and the illusion, but at the very least I wanted to see if this would even facilitate for future ASMR streams where I'm actually using like the 3DO mic and stuff. So now we at least know it's going to work or it won't work, you know. But yeah. All right, let's get started because I legitimately need to finish these. I'm actually working. Okay. Testing 1. Yeah, that'll work. Wound Cubes by Peace Sim. I have always wanted to help people. Growing up, I saw myself being a world-renowned brain surgeon, ridding the world's population of the dreaded glioblastoma and anaplastic astrocytoma. My mother passed away from an inoperable brain tumor when I was only 7 years old. I watched as her silken hair fell from her head, and her smile became more and more forced. It ate her alive from the inside out, while we had to watch, helplessly. It was the most devastating thing to happen to my family. In the end, it ate us alive from the inside out. While I suffered in silence, my father couldn't cope with her loss and turned to the drink. He always took care of me. He was a good man and loved me, but he became a hollow shell after the death of my mother, and I promised myself I would never let this happen to any family if I could help it. However, after 2 years of grueling medical school, I realized neurosurgery was just not my niche. I didn't have the stomach nor the calm demeanor required for the specialized task of working on another human being's most important organ. I chose to instead pursue a career as an emergency medical technician. I could work hands-on with people who need my help, be there for them in their most traumatizing moments, calm them when they are frightened, and perform techniques that very well may save their lives. I found myself flourishing in what I would consider the fast-paced environment that comes with being an EMT. Much of the time, you have to think on your feet, moving swiftly to make sure a patient is stable enough to survive the trip to the hospital. During training, I'm in my element and feel like I'm fulfilling my calling as far as helping my fellow man. I haven't quite finished my certification yet, but have been on many ride-alongs with senior techs and gotten my hands dirty more than a few times. Last week, we were informed we would be receiving a product intended to help those in the emergency fields to improve upon their wound packing methods. It was supposed to be revolutionary at mimicking what a true bleeding wound would be like, and would be a required class for PHTLS, or pre-hospital trauma life support, before certification. I was actually really excited to work on this. It was called the Wound Cube, and was supposed to emulate a small caliber gunshot wound on one side, a large caliber gunshot wound on another, a small laceration on the third, a deep laceration on the fourth. With the levels of person-on-person violence within my city, I figure this would be an amazing tool in ensuring our ability to save someone's life. Our first class with the Wound Cube went all right. It turns out no amount of training is quite as effective as the real thing, and this was damn close. It was just a small 5x5x5 cube, but the substance it was made out of felt so realistic, and the wounds were surprisingly intricate. One could shine a flashlight from one of the sides that you weren't working on and see the arteries, veins, and even capillaries in the wound that you were working on. The producers of the product, Asclepius Industries, were reputed to have spared no expenses when it came to producing the best possible learning tool for those of us responsible for saving lives. Needless to say, I was impressed, as was everyone who worked with a wound cube that day. Our group learned a lot, and also how unprepared we had been. So it was considered a successful class. The next day we resumed work with the cube. There is an entry point where you can insert a blood-simulating liquid. It came clear in the package, but we dyed it red to better represent an actual bleeding wound. You don't get to work with clear fluids and flashlights showing where an artery is nicked in real life, so this class was a little more difficult. Many students were having problems identifying their areas of heavy bleeding. I, on the other hand, had been doing quite well, packing the smaller caliber gunshot wound and large caliber gunshot wound successfully in a decent amount of time. I wouldn't say amazing, but it would have slowed a person's bleeding enough until they got into surgery had they been bleeding out. I moved on to the laceration, which basically looked like a relatively clean, however deep, knife wound. I began my initial search of the wound with my index finger for the source of the bleed. If it is an arterial bleed, you will feel the flow of the blood gushing against your finger and can pack it more thoroughly. As I was gingerly moving my finger through the wound, I heard a faint, "Please stop." I paused for a moment, assuming my instructor was behind me and I was doing something incorrectly. However, a turn of my head revealed she was across the room, tending to some of the less seasoned students. I resumed my exam of the wound and heard a pain. "Oh God, please stop." I once again looked around the room and saw no one returning the glance. Getting a little creeped out, but not wanting to seem squeamish in front of the class, I inserted my finger into the wound and immediately heard a scream and a woman's voice say, "It hurts so much, please God, make it stop," followed by anguished crying. Instantly, upon removing my finger, the cries of pain ceased. Was one of my classmates playing a prank at my expense? I tested it a few more times, gently, but still received moans, screams, and cries for me to stop. However, it seemed like no one else could hear it, and I didn't catch anyone glancing my way observing their handiwork. At the end of the class, I asked my instructor if I could take the cube home to practice more. Even though my technique was perfect, I pretended I was struggling, so I was able to investigate further. And I figured if it was someone messing with me, it would not happen in the safety of my own home. As soon as I got to my apartment, I changed out of my uniform, took Bentley out and refilled his water bowl, and sat down at my table with the cube. This is ridiculous, I thought to myself. It had to be a joke. The only other logical explanation was that I was losing my mind, and I didn't want to jump to that ship quite yet. I held my scalpel over the cube. I noticed, to my surprise, faint pulses of red running through its artificial veins. I thought I'd thoroughly drained it at the end of class. I leaned down, my heart racing in anticipation, and gently poked it. "Stop that!" screeched the voice. I shuddered as I dropped the instrument to the floor. "Who are you?" I asked. But when I looked around, only Bentley's confused expression greeted me. I picked up the scalpel and, while watching Bentley, poked at the wound cube again. "The pain!" seethed the voice, even louder than before. Yet, Bentley took no notice. I really was the only one who could hear it. I gathered my thoughts. The voice had changed. During class, it had been distorted and gravelly, but steadily it had settled into something more distinct, more feminine. It dawned on me that I faintly recognized it. My instincts told me that maybe it would respond less harshly to a softer touch, so I slowly pressed my finger into it. "Max," said the voice. I burst out of my seat and backed into the wall. It knew my name. But of course it did. It had her voice. A voice I hadn't heard in over 15 years. My mind, trained to navigate snap medical decisions, raced through all of the possibilities. The most obvious, of course, was that my earlier instincts about losing my mind were correct. If a patient told me that touching an inorganic surgical training device had caused them to hear a tormented voice, I'd refer them to a psychiatrist. But I wasn't like those patients. I was someone they could count on in an emergency. I was capable of solving this on my own. In considering the remaining options, I realized just how little I knew about the wound cube. That was an unusual sentence structure. Hold on. I realized just how little I knew about how the wound cube was made. A lengthy URL given out by my instructor brought me to the website for Asclepius Industries, but the information it provided went no deeper than reciting taglines and sales pitches. Perfectly mimics human flesh. Tested by licensed practitioners. Can be molded to resemble a variety of wounds. Ideal for wound packing and all incision techniques. I clicked through several pages as I searched in vain for the materials used to create them. I ran my hands through my hair. I needed to talk to Dad. I checked the clock. 7 p.m. Surely he wouldn't be drunk yet. I dialed the number. Mags, I haven't heard from you in at least 2 months. My heart sank at his stumbling, slurred speech. Dad, I need to ask you something. It's about Mom. A long pause followed. Sure. I was wondering if you had any documentation that you could share with me about that. What? Documentation? Why do you need that? I can explain later. I have a hunch about something. You have materials about this, right? Or at least surely you remember where her body was taken after she passed, right? He stuttered and obfuscated in response. As his words quickened, he grew irate and accusatory. You call me for the first time in weeks, just to remind me of the worst thing to ever happen to me. And okay, Dad, I said, cutting him off. Forget it. Dad sighed. Sorry, I have had a bit to drink, and I told him not to worry and hung up. Frustration coursed through me as his selfish words replayed in my head. Worst thing to ever happen to me. I returned to the table and examined the wound cube again. It was even redder than before. But how was that possible? Had some dye been trapped deep within it? For a moment, I thought I saw it faintly pulsate. My phone rang. It was Dad. He apologized for his behavior. Look, I know I haven't always been there for you like you deserved, he said. He spoke more slowly, like he was exerting effort to sound clear and coherent. So, I want to be straight with you and answer your question. You have the right to know what happened to your mother's body. I braced myself for whatever Dad was about to tell me. Your mother never agreed to donate her body to science. She wanted a proper burial. When I told her I'd arranged for one, I meant it. Then I saw the bills for her treatment, Max. You have to understand, I only wanted what was best for you. What did you do? I asked. I accepted money from strangers for her body. They had someone on the inside at the hospital who helped arrange for it all. I felt equally shocked and hurt. My father had betrayed my mother's wish for a burial, and the fact that he'd done it to benefit me made me feel strangely responsible. I swear on your mother's soul, my dad continued. Not a penny of it went to anything other than the bills. You have to believe me, Max. I didn't... Who are the strangers? I interrupted. What did they want with her body? I don't know. They told me not to ask questions. I just know that the moment she passed, they carved her body away, They were strange-looking people, Max. All wearing gray raincoats even as the sun's out, hoods drawn. They had large goggles, too, the kind you see someone wear in a laboratory. I could hardly see an inch of their skin. Last I saw of them, they lifted the body bag into a hearse and drove off with it. I pressed Dad for more information, but he didn't have any. The hearse was unmarked, and they'd left him no written materials, just an envelope full of cash. Do you understand why I did all of this? It's for us, it's for the family. Thanks for the explanation, I said before cutting off the phone. My next call was to Asclepius Industries. An automated voice guided me through several options until I arrived at a receptionist. Thank you for contacting Asclepius Industries. I'm Brittany. How can I help you today? I'm wondering if I could speak with someone about the wound cubes. I have some questions about how they are made. Asclepius Industries uses only artificial and non-toxic materials to construct its state-of-the-art medical training equipment. While they are precisely designed to perfectly mimic living flesh, they contain no organic components. She spoke with a rehearsed enthusiasm and cadence that reminded me of a veteran tour guide. Is there anything else I can help you with? There's an issue with the wound cube I've been using. I paused as I realized that what I was about to say would sound crazy. Oh, could you please describe the issue for me? I am happy to work with you to resolve your concerns. Um, Whenever I cut into it, it belongs to someone I knew. A lengthy silence followed. Brittany, are you still there? Oh, of course, responded Brittany, her tone as sprightly as before. Oh, well, that's a strange problem to have, now isn't it? I cringed at her mechanical, empty laughter. Can you please confirm your blood type for us? Are you also AB negative, Max? What? I said. Why don't you just confirm that the address we have for you is up to date? I'm happy to send you an informational brochure that will answer all your questions. Why did you ask me about my blood type and how do you know my name? All I want is for you to be a happy customer. Then start by giving me some answers, I screamed. We're happy to provide you with a complimentary brochure. Just confirm your address with us and... I hung up. Panicked and half-formed thoughts raced through my head. Asclepius Industries was hiding something sinister, and I knew that it had to do with my mother's body. I glanced at the wound cube. Blood now throbbed through it in a regular pattern, like a heart was buried within it. Max, whispered a voice in the back of my mind. I decided to follow its call. I wasn't getting answers anywhere else, after all. I lowered my hand slowly into the wound cube. My palm and fingers gently contacted its soft, damp surface. Max, slowly, croaked my mother's pained voice. It hurts. It hurts, but push. Keep pushing. I obeyed. My hand descended through the cool, fleshy substance until it was immersed in a layer of pink, gooey residue. I found myself looking down at my mother as she lay in a hospital bed. I need your help, Max, she said. I need you to save me. Mom, I don't know how. Where am I? What am I supposed to do? Don't leave me again, Max, she begged. Smoke formed around her body. Her skin started to disintegrate and bubbling blood boiled through her hospital gown. I ran for the door, ignoring her pleas for me to stay. In the hallway, I flagged a nurse. Ma'am, my mom, she's dying in here, I stammered, pointing to the room. When the nurse turned to me, I gasped as I realized that she, too, was my mother. I started to back away. It's okay, Max, said the nurse mom. It's really me this time. I took you into your dream world. It was the only way for me to talk to you like this. I kept running. I passed my classmates and professors as I followed signs to the waiting room, which I figured would lead me out of the building, but when I opened the door, I found myself facing a black void. I turned back only to find the hospital gone. Clicks echoed as hundreds of fluorescent lights lit up, revealing a structure the size of a building built out of thousands of blocks of reddish flesh littered with loose clumps of soft white. I gawked at the towering structure of flesh. I shuddered as I felt a hand against my shoulder. It's me, Max, said my mother. Me and all the others they resurrected. The others who have the qualities they need. Be careful, Max, or they'll come for you too. Mom, I said, finally calming down. How is this happening? For so many years I thought you were dead. I wish I were still dead, Max, said Mom. You have to stop them. You have to. They strip away our flesh, regrow it, and strip it away again. In our perpetual purgatory, we feel everything that happens to our flesh, even once it's been removed from us. With every slice and every incision into one of those cubes, 1,000 voices scream in pain. The connection between you and me allowed you to hear mine. But why? Why would they do that? It's the pain itself, Max. They're harvesting it. That's why they're distributing the cubes. The pain, Max. The pain. She collapsed to the ground as she wailed, What is it, Mom? Mom! I tried to help, but yet again I could do nothing. Her body started to pull apart in front of me. Max, something's severing the connection. Please don't let them find you. She gargled up blood as her arm detached. A sting snapped me out of the dream. I found myself back in my apartment. To my shock, Bentley had hopped onto the table. He'd bitten my hand as he devoured the wound cube. No! I screamed as I tore what was left of the cube from his mouth. When I touched its tattered remnants, I no longer heard my mother's voice. I was tempted to scold Bentley, but I knew it was my fault for forgetting to feed him, and I was too distracted by the impact of what had occurred. I sobbed upon realizing the implication of what had happened, and how much pain my mother, in whatever form she continued to exist, had experienced in the process. I'd been reunited with her, only to lose her again. Yet I had no closure, as I sensed that she is still out there in some form, stuck between life and death. This has to end. Now that I've written all of this down, I'm going to put a stop to whatever Asclepius Industries is doing. Nothing is going to stop me from discovering what they're harvesting and why. Not even the 4 men in goggles and gray coats who just climbed out of a hearse in front of my apartment building. How weird. That was a weird one, guys. I don't know about that. I don't think it was a dog. I'm pretty sure that that is peak cat behavior. Like, damn confident that that is peak cat behavior, to be completely transparent with you. Like, absolutely peak cat behavior. Yeah, the like I said, the blinking stuff may be kind of weird for the VTuber. Mostly because again, it's so this is a test stream. Basically, my PC can handle all of this like normal. Like my PC is what runs everything, but I'm afraid if I try to utilize my PC that the fan noise will be picked up on my mic if I'm trying to record at the same time. I have not tested that yet, and I didn't want a professional recording of some variety to be the thing. So, hence why that's the case. Also, Eternal Jesse, thank you for the follow. But yeah, so let's see. All right. That was a very, I wish you a very merry that story. All right, let me look at something really quick here. ChillingApp is also doing a giveaway. Give me a minute here. I was going to write the information down for it, but I'm having trouble with the links, so I'm going to have them fix the links before I tell you guys. All right. Let's get around to the next one. Yes, cats will absolutely eat you. That's true. If you die and cats get hungry enough, they will absolutely eat your body. That's 100% correct. Yeah, dogs will take a while. Like, dogs will damn near starve themselves. Cats will just do it. All right, let's get on to the next one. Do 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 do. Testing one. Okay. All right, on to the next story. Oh, yeah, the tree that feasts on flesh. Yes, it is. Let's go. Oh, I guess I could have been... I have music I'm going to start working on doing for you guys, too. So when I do these ASMR streams, like on a more formal position, I will have, like, music that I've remixed with underlying tones and things. I just haven't quite gotten there yet. But I didn't want to do that with this because, again, it's professional work, so. Yes, hello. Oh, yeah, that's going to have to be fixed, but I can't do anything about it right now. It's literally because I don't think... It's because OBS and everything else is running at the same time. Maybe I will try this running it from my PC in the future and see if it picks up the mic sounds. If it's not that bad, then that's one thing. But if I'm doing like formal narrations, it's just not something I'm going to be able to do. But we'll see. I don't know. I will try to find a workaround. It's just not going to be a thing that's possible. For VTubing purposes, for professional work is all. But that's okay. All right, let's move on. Next story. The Tree That Feasts on Flesh by S. Crow. Don't play around the tree. Don't. Oh, okay. Tree That Feasts on Flesh by S. Crow. Don't play around the tree. Don't touch the tree. Don't get on the swing. Those were the words my grandmother made me repeat every night before she put me and my little brother to bed. It was our little ritual. We seldom saw any other children while growing up. Our family, me, my younger brother, Robbie, our parents, and our grandmother lived in an ancient house out in the middle of nowhere. We were homeschooled. There was no one around to tell us that this ritual was, at the very least, a little strange. The tree in question grew in the corner of our large garden. It was an old, gnarly thing, all knotted roots and sharp, pointing branches. A rope swing, tattered and ancient, hung when echoing her words. Our grandmother was as regular as clockwork. Every night, she'd be in our room, repeating the mantra with us. Don't play at the tree, don't touch the tree, don't get on the swing. She did this every evening, till the day she and my father died. It was a car crash. They'd only gone to get groceries from the nearest town. It was just a routine trip until my father hit a deer, swerved, lost control, and crashed into a tree. Dead on arrival. We mourned in our solitude. Robbie was only 4 and couldn't even comprehend what had happened. Our mother became silent and withdrawn, except for when she would come to our room every evening and say the now familiar words with tears in her eyes. Don't these things usually go? He was a bastard. He was a tall, loud man with an ego to match. He brought a dog with him, one as vicious, cruel. I don't know, her mother. He came into the room. What are you talking about? He smirked. What's all this about the tree in the backyard? Please, Greg, not now, our mother said. This is a family thing. But we're family, he said. He smiled. It's just something my mother taught me. Don't worry about it. Why shouldn't the boys play at the tree? He laughed. They're old enough, aren't you, Robbie? He leaned down and ruffled my brother's hair. Robbie hated when he did that. My mother took a deep breath before answering. Can you wait for me downstairs? Downstairs, Greg. There was a sudden hint of anger in her voice. Greg smiled, but it was more of a threatening grimace. Oh, of course, dear. After our mother put us to bed, I could hear the two of them talking downstairs in hushed tones. After some time, Greg laughed, his voice raised high enough for me to make out the words. You think I'll believe any of that? I'm not an idiot, Mary. What, you think you could scare me with stories like this, like you scare the boys every night? He snickered cruelly. Please, Greg. I'm being serious. You have to listen. Enough, Mary. Tomorrow I'll cut the bloody thing down. That'll be the end of it. My mother's voice was desperate now. You can't cut it down, Greg. Don't you think we've tried? Don't be stupid. The muffled sound of a slap came through the floor. There was a second of silence. I'm gonna let Brute out, Greg said finally, his voice low. He likes to sleep outside. I don't want to hear any more about this when I get back. I heard the door slam. My mother's quiet sobs came to my ears. No 8-year-old should have to hear that. I'm just glad Robbie was already asleep. The next morning I was woken by the sound of Greg shouting in fury. I rushed downstairs, Robbie following close behind me. He was confused, only 6 years old, but somehow he could tell something was wrong. My mother was behind the dinner table, cowering and pale. Greg stood in the door, his face red with anger. In his hands, he held a bloodied leather collar. Brute's leather collar. Is this some sort of fucking joke, Mary, huh? What the hell is wrong with you? I don't know what you're talking about, Greg, my mother said, her voice pleading. What's going on? Where's Brute? You should tell me, you bitch. You're the one who left at the roots of the bloody tree. My mother went pale. The tree? Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh no. No. Greg was too angry to notice her fear. I've had enough of this. This bullshit ends here. I'm gonna cut that thing down. Then we'll see what's up with your tree. He stormed through the room, shoving me aside and reaching into his tool cabinet. He drew out a large chainsaw. My mother tried to stop him, to plead with him. Greg slapped her and pushed her aside, then rushed out into the garden. The door slammed behind him. We heard the chainsaw revving and Greg shouting obscenities. Mother sank to her knees, holding out her hands to me and Robbie. We hugged her. I could hear the sound of the chainsaw cutting into wood. Suddenly it all stopped. Greg went quiet. For a minute, the world was silent, and we sat on the floor hugging each other in mute terror. The door swung open slowly. Greg walked in, his movements sluggish and dazed. In his hands, he held the chainsaw. There was blood on the chain, dark red and viscous. I dreamt of the tree that night. Its black branches, like crawling fingers, were slowly stretching toward the house, edging their way through my window, working their way under it, reaching for me. I woke screaming and drenched in sweat and remained awake until the morning. Weeks went by. Greg talked little, but his fights with our mother got worse. I think he was slowly, forcefully forgetting what had happened when he tried to cut the tree down, and venting the anger, confusion, and fear at my mother. She couldn't come up to our room and repeat our grandmother's words to us anymore. Greg wouldn't let her. So every night I would hug Robbie and say the words with him. I was old enough to understand how important they were. A month after the chainsaw incident, my mother and Greg had their biggest argument. It wasn't about any of the usual bullshit. Money, housework, not even about Brute. It was about me and Robbie. Greg wanted to take us to play at the tree. Selfish bastard. It had scared him shitless, but now that he had somehow convinced himself nothing had happened, he wanted to prove it, and dragged me and my brother into it. My mother wouldn't let him. You selfish bastard, she screamed, anger giving her courage. You saw what happened when you tried to cut it down. You saw the blood. There wasn't any blood, Greg sneered. Sap, that's all it was. You're just too stupid to realize that, you piece of shit. You have scared those boys long enough. It's time for them to grow up. My mother laughed. You're terrified. That's what's going on. The tree scared you, and now you need to prove yourself how big a man you are. You're right to be scared, Greg. There was a second of silence. Greg glared angrily at my mother, a vein throbbing on his forehead. Tomorrow they go on the swing, and that's that, Mary. You selfish fuck. She forced through gritted teeth. Greg just laughed. That night, Mother snuck up to our room while Greg was showering. We repeated the words with her for the first time in weeks. Don't play around the tree. Don't touch the tree. Don't get on the swing. Robbie hugged her. Would Dad make us go on the swing, Mom? He whispered. I don't want to go to the tree. No, Robbie, she answered in a comforting whisper. I won't let him. You'll never need to go near that tree. Down below, we heard the shower turn off. Our mother sighed, kissed us quickly, and left. We slowly fell into an uneasy sleep. I don't know how long I was dreaming. I jolted awake suddenly, disoriented and confused. The lights were on, blinding me with their sudden brightness. Greg stood in the doorway, swaying on his feet. He held a bottle of vodka in one hand and was only half dressed. Come on, boys, time to go play. He staggered forward, taking a swig out of the bottle. Robbie woke and screamed. Greg caught his hand, ripping him out of bed. Come on, Robbie, behave like a big boy. It's just a tree. I don't want to. I don't want to. Mom said I... Your mother's not here now, Greg snarled, and my heart dropped. We're going to that bloody tree, you hear me? He tugged Robbie onto his feet. I leapt up. I was only 8, but I had to stop him. You can't do this, the tree... Greg punched me square in the face, his anger lending him strength. Everything went white around me, and I felt myself falling to the floor. The world slowly swam back into view. I was lying on my back, blood streaming down my face with a broken nose. For a second, I couldn't remember what had happened. Robbie, Greg, the tree. I clawed my way to my feet, swaying and almost falling again. I stumbled out of my room and down the stairs. The door to the garden was wide open. Next to it lay my mother, sprawled on the ground. Her face was beaten and bloody. I stared at her prone form in disbelief. Robbie's screams coming from outside pulled me back into reality. I could hear Greg as well, yelling about making a man of him. I stumbled through the door after them. In the dark, I could barely see. The best thing I could do was lurch through the garden, following Robbie's cries and Greg's drunken cursing. Don't be a pussy, Robbie. It's just a bloody tree, he laughed, his speech slurred. It's just a tree, you'll see. Till the day I die. I will never forget the moment I realized I was too slow to save my brother. The moment when the night was suddenly full of the sounds of creaking, cracking wood. The moment when Greg's drunken hollering turned to terrified screams. And then there was silence. Tears streaming down my face, I ran through the dark in the direction where I had heard my stepfather's fatal last cries. The tree loomed out of the darkness, and my heart fell when I looked down at its roots. Clutched in their gnarled embrace as if they had grown over it for years, was Greg's empty bottle. Well, damn, that was fucking depressing. Okay. Little less horror, a little more depression. That was just the tree from Evil Dead, I feel like, was all that was. But that's fine. Yeah. I mean, technically, yeah. All right, let's see what else we got. Move right along on that one. Okay, what do we got next? I'm gonna butcher this name, but we're gonna do our best. I'm gonna try. The real horror was the family along the way. Yeah. I needed that posture check. Okay. All right, let's get into it. Next story. I Want to Be a Good Father by Y.D. Nessius. My son's heartbeat grows irregular whenever he has another seizure. His muscles will clench and relax in tune to the whole ordeal. Short twitches alternate with lengthy trembles interjected every now and then by a short moment of calm. There is a certain rhythm to it all, and it repeats over and over. Twitch, 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 pause. It's not a simple rhythm, not a rhythm a casual observer could pick up on. Twitch, pause. It used to be even longer and more intricate. Twitch, tremble, twitch, twitch, pause. But recently my son has been getting better at controlling these episodes. What lasted up to half an hour in the past is now over in a matter of minutes. Twitch, tremble, tremble, twitch, pause. I should feel happy about these attacks growing less and less severe, but I am not. When they happen, I will sit there and silently track the beat, waiting for any irregularities that may break the pattern. Twitch, 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 pause, twitch, pause, twitch, tremble, twitch, twitch, pause, twitch, tremble, tremble, twitch, pause, twitch, 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 pause, tremble, twitch, twitch, pause, twitch, tremble, pause. I love my son. I hope his seizures last forever. The irregular heartbeat is now development, but the seizures are not. He has been suffering from them ever since he was born. His muscles cramp and spasm. Drool drips from his lips as his jaw locks down. His breathing grows constrained. Afterwards, a few minutes of dazed disorientation. No doctor could ever tell us what's wrong. Probably some subtle neurological issue. He preferred staying inside because of these attacks. While other boys of his age explored the nearby woods or raced their bikes down the steep hill at the western side of town, he chose to sit inside to read comics or to play with his Legos. I tried to spend time with him as often as possible to make up for his isolation. We snuck through in the attic, looking for lost treasures within the mountains of unpacked moving boxes. We built massive pillow forts spanning across multiple rooms. We learned Morse code and communicated wordlessly from one room to the other by banging the radiator pipes. We had a great connection back then. But that ended 2 months ago, when he was hit by his worst episode. We found him lying on the living room floor, his eyes rolled back, his body contorted, blood dripping from his mouth after he had bitten deeply into his tongue. His right arm kept slamming against his chest. His voice kept groaning and babbling in nonsensical bursts of sound. We rushed him to the hospital as fast as possible. They injected him with something that helped his muscles to relax, but nobody could tell us what was going on. We got the same answer as always. Probably some complex neurological issue. Whatever had caused the attack, it left our son permanently changed. He had always been slightly withdrawn and shy, but he had also been filled with curiosity and a childlike energy. He'd screw open our TV set to learn what it looked like on the inside. He'd sketch out a layout of our house after reading about secret rooms hidden between the walls in one of his teen detective novels. He'd draw massive picture books detailing massive adventures he pictured himself having. Now, after the attack, he sat in his room, unmoving, staring into space. I tried to animate him into returning to normal, tried to spend as much time as possible with him, only to be rejected again and again by his sudden universal disinterest. The overall seizures had gotten worse as well, even though he tried to hide the fact for some reason. One time I checked in on him at night after hearing some concerning sounds and found his body jolting and contorting in bed even as he slept. His dreamlike voice mumbled something over and over again. I stepped closer to hear what he was saying, but the moment I approached, he jumped up, suddenly awake. Another time I found him sitting in the kitchen, once again staring blankly at nothing while his left hand moved with sudden jerky motions. The fingers ran through a spilled pile of sugar, guided by the strange spasms, painting some sort of pattern into the white surface. He was completely unaware of what his hand was doing. When he noticed my confused gaze, his eyes drifted down and a shocked look spread on his face. He quickly pulled his arm away and erased the pattern before I had any chance to look at it. It was a frustrating affair to see all of this happen, unable to do anything. I grew more and more irritated until I had enough. It was during another episode. I found him sitting in his room, just staring at nothing again, his body twitching and trembling while his breath grew ragged. There had to be something I could do. I stormed to the bathroom and pulled out our emergency medical supply box. There, nestled between a pack of gauze and a blood pressure apparatus, lay a stethoscope. I had no idea what I really thought I could accomplish. Some irrational part of me kept insisting that I'd somehow be able to do what armies of specialists and doctors had been unable to do, and that I'd be able to figure out what was going on. I knew deep down that I wouldn't get anywhere. It didn't matter. At least doing something proactive like this made me feel less powerless. I sat down next to my son and began listening to his heartbeat. He just kept sitting there, looking at me with an eerie disinterest. The whirring sound from within his chest made its way to my ears. Short bumps, lengthy fluttering, little pauses every now and then. Short pause. There didn't seem to be any rhythm to it, just a chaotic jumble. Short pause. And yet there was something familiar here. Something I knew. Short, long, short pause. My eyes drifted through the room as the uneven hammering continued. It looked strangely empty here. Short, long pause. All of his toys and books and comics were gone, stashed away. The last few remnants of them were resting in the corner, gathering dust. If it hadn't been for this last pile, I would have never noticed the pattern, but just when I wanted to turn away again, I noticed the little leaflet among the clutter. A large line of letters were printed on its top. The Morse code alphabet. My eyes widened. I jumped to my feet and hurried to grab a pen and a piece of paper. This was insane. I was going insane. It was impossible that this could be... And yet, I sat down again and started transcribing the heartbeat. Long pause. Short pause. "What are you doing, Dad?" my son asked. His voice was flat and without any intonation, yet when I looked up, his face was twisted into a hostile mask of distrust. His eyes drifted back and forth between me and the paper on which I had started jotting down a series of dots and lines. Don't you remember?" I asked. A shiver traveled down my spine. He should have known what I was doing. He should have understood the moment he had seen it written out. Yet his brow just furrowed as if all those afternoons playing around with Morse code had been long forgotten. I swallowed. I'm just scribbling around. I forced down a laugh. Helps me think. He slightly relaxed, satisfied about the explanation for the moment. All the while, my hand kept writing. Long, short pause. Short, long, pause, long, short pause. The message continued, longer and longer. My fingers trembled. Sweat started to build on my forehead, and my mouth felt dry. "What are you doing, Dad?" The question sounded more aggressive this time. He was staring down at the paper. "Nothing, just scribbling," I managed to get out. My voice was hoarse and shaky. This time he didn't buy it. This time he didn't relax. His body grew suddenly taut, and he fixed his attention at a point in the air. Veins began to show on his forehead. He turned red. His focus grew even more intense. He held his breath. And then his heart gave out one last irregular judder before its beat returned to a normal, steady rhythm. "There. I'm better now," he said. "You can go now." It wasn't an offer nor a request. It was an order. I rose to my feet and gave him what I hoped was an innocent smile. Yeah, everything seems to be better now." I turned and started leaving. "Everything is fine." In my hand, I still held the piece of paper containing the transcription of his heartbeat. My mind was racing. Lines and dots began forming letters. Letters clustered into words. Words began to form 2 short sentences. Help me, Dad. I'm trapped in here. I liked this one. I liked this one because it was not what you expected it to be. Like, it had a very oh hey, thanks Steph. Hello. How are you doing? We're in the midst of narrating, but it is a pleasure to have you. Hello everyone. Also, we're co-narrating. I am trying to do this on my Mac and seeing how it goes with VTube Studio. And I'm realizing that my Mac processor is either older and out of date or just something that I'm going to have to work through. So, but we're learning things. We're definitely learning stuff. So, you know. What up? Well, I think the implication is that he was having seizures initially, like normal seizures, but then it became, after he had like that final one, that he started having, like, it was a possession implication, I think, is kind of what it boils down to. So I'm pretty sure that that was the implication anyway. All right, let me see here. Bye, Harlock. I appreciate you. We're doing well. I hope that what have you been gaming? Hold on. I've got to do your little shout out. I'm learning how to stream appropriately. Since we're getting back into things, more or less. Anyway, there we go. Have you been doing gaming streams still, or like what have you been doing today? There we go. Let me do this. Timers. Yeah, that's not. Oh, bet. That sounds fun. I didn't dislike Date Everything. Like I just didn't have specific ones that I liked. I found, like, I like Dorian, but then obviously, like, Eddie and Volt were like the first ones that I went for and got the love endings, which was great. But then, like, I don't know, I struggled a little bit with Date Everything. And then I kept having trouble with the fact that anytime I ran into a character, the first thing they did was insult the, like, activity levels of the reader, or like the character, like the you basically. And I thought that was really shitty for a super inclusive game. Like, it was very strange to me that that was something that they started doing. But I think that was also just me being really, I don't know, maybe I was being sensitive about it. I just thought it was strange. Awkwardly early. Oh God, are you in the midst of a heat wave? That sucks. That's so. Everybody wants to go on and, like, complain and bitch about the, like, oh, you don't know what a heat wave is, blah 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 blah. But, like, don't take into consideration that depending on where you live in the world, no one is used to certain types of heat. Like, people from Arizona can sit there and be like, you don't know what heat is, but the reality is like you guys in the UK are not prepped for specific levels of heat. Like your houses are not fucking built for that shit. Or like up here, so since I moved to the Pacific Northwest, like 80s up here is not the same kind of heat because again the houses were not built for extreme heat up into the 90s and the 100s. So like you don't have AC units in housing like you do in Arizona. Like they have these big ass HVAC units because that's the only way to live. Split the game across 2 streams. Oh, bet. I still need to finish my drunk dirge run, but I have a hard time running dirge on Baldur's Gate because like I don't want to do. I ripped off Gale's arm on accident the first time I did it. Also, I'm definitely stalling because I think we're getting mail, so I'm gonna wait until the dogs stop barking. Yeah, bro, swamp humidity is not the fucking same. Swamp humidity is fucking brutal. It's like breathing soup. Arizona heat is sticking your head into an oven or frying a steak on the thing, and then southern heat is swamp heat. Oh, you know what? It might be the garbage. Is the garbage guy? Oh, good. He's gonna be mad at us. I'm so stoked. I didn't pull out the garbage. I definitely forgot. Oh well. It'll be fine. We're just narrating stories though for ChillingApp today. I was testing one of the VTubers, which yeah, no. Well, in Texas and Arizona are like parallel for heat concept, and Nevada is pretty close too. Like center of Nevada is pretty nasty. Oh, I can change this actually while I'm sitting here. But I'm glad that you are having good streams. I'm glad that it has been enjoyable. This sounds like a weird title. $5,000 to sit and stare. Do you guys remember the game the click fucking the click game? This title reminds me of the click game. That's all I'm getting from this. Clickbait, I think, or something. It's so weird that it's still unstable. I do not understand what is happening with the keyframe rate. Click holding! Thank you. Click holding. Yes. It be click holding. Okay, take care. I appreciate you stopping by. I'm sure I will see you next time. That's fine. I'm getting back into the story here in just a minute. True. I know what I did. Alright, we should be hopefully almost done here. Okay. They are turning around. It'll be just a second. Which is fine, because that gives me a second to, like, settle. I did have to charge it. Listen, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes, guys. I'm just saying. Also, I understand that this is not normal stream for me, but this is how we're gonna do it today because, again, I had work to do and I figured some of you wanted stuff anyway. Let me do this. All right. They are gone, so I think we should be good. So we're going to do the ad break. I'm going to let that go through, and then I will be right back. Also, Sapphic, thank you for the follow. I appreciate. So side note, guys. Those of you that are, where's it at? Oh, so those of you that are subscribed to ChillingApp, by the way, so they are doing a Nintendo Switch 2 and Mario Kart giveaway. If you aren't subscribed to ChillingApp, I think so. It's free to sign up, and then I know that they do like the subscription stuff depending on the stories and the tiers. That's where majority of my creepy narrations are. But if you wind up subscribing, you do get entered into the giveaway for the Nintendo Switch 2 and Mario Kart giveaway. Otherwise, every subscriber is entered automatically. So if you're already subscribed, you should be entered already. But just please be aware of that. ChillingApp is doing that. I also have the links available. You should see it scroll through so you guys can grab that really quick. Or you can go to chillingapp.com. But just a heads up on that really fast. And then... let me see here. Are we done? Are we gone? I think we're done. Okay. All right. I think this is the last story, too, so we should be good after this. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's get this last story in. Hi, Fire. You're amazing. Okay. Testing. $5,000 to sit and stare by Weird Bryce Guy. The ad offered $5,000 and said that the desired activity could be completed in an hour. It stated, fairly redundantly, that it was not a sexual thing, insisted that all the witness would need to do is sit in a chair and stare ahead. The only other details expressed were that you could not move during the experience, nor could you talk. This inability being out of a requested self-restraint, not through a means of physical prevention. Being an abysmally broke college student and having a friend with whom I could depend upon for my rescue if something strange happened, I answered the ad only a few minutes after coming across it. The person who had put out the ad had provided a phone number, which I called. Sending a text resulted in me being informed that it was a landline. The person answered, and we briefly discussed the location where the interaction was to be held, and I confirmed the amount of money to be paid. Like his ad, he repeatedly reminded me that it was in no way a carnal activity. Apparently, he'd gotten a lot of answers to the ad from people with that particular preconception. My friend took the day off from work, insisted, despite my protests, that we could wait until the following day when he was off, and we drove to the agreed-upon location. It was a house in a suburban neighborhood, which was somewhat comforting. If the man was an axe murderer, there was a chance my screams of terror could be heard by quite a few people. I joked aloud about this, but my friend didn't find it funny. The ad specified, and the man reiterated, that I was alone when entering the house. So I had my friend stay in the car. Being similarly broke, I offered him $500 for his help. An unnecessary incentive, his words, to not leave me if the man turns out to be truly insane. I got out of the car and walked across the lawn, which, unlike those of other houses, hadn't been maintained. The grass was high. Weeds threatened to burst through the concrete of the driveway and sidewalk. The man had sounded fairly old on the phone, so I attributed the ill-maintained property to an inability to perform the duties, rather than some indication of insanity. I was instructed to immediately enter once I had arrived, so I didn't bother knocking. The unlocked door opened into a foyer, and connected to this was a hall that led into a kitchen. The hall held a single door, which I assumed led into a closet or down to a basement. Leftward from the kitchen was a spacious room devoid of furnishing, save for 2 steel foldable chairs and an equally foldable dinner table. The foyer, hall, and kitchen were in similar states of bareness and aren't worth remarking on beyond that. Sitting in one of the chairs in the great room was a man who I knew at once to be the dealer of the ad. There was a certain familiarity about him. One of those times when a voice is an almost eerie reflection of the person from whom it issued. He nodded and gave a wave, but it did not speak. I approached and sat down at the chair opposite to him. To my left on the dinner table was a box. The top of the box was a clear case, through which a neat stack of money could be seen. The base of the box was black, with a timer at its face, and a clasping mechanism which sealed the upper portion to the bottom. It is a time-released device. Now that you're here, I will start it. He immediately does. And once an hour has passed from this point, the box will open, and you are free to take your payment. You needn't say anything once that time arrives and can depart a slightly richer person. Now all you must do is look at me. You may of course blink, but please do not speak or look away. It is very important that you both be silent and still. And so the staring session began. It was expectedly awkward for the first few minutes. He stared right back at me, but after a while the oddness of the circumstances became dull, and I grew accustomed to them. His face wasn't unusual, but it wasn't exactly handsome. Easy enough to look at, but not someone you would have necessarily wanted to linger on without incentive. He was about 65, hair grayed and thin, face starting to sag, blue eyes slightly squinting. Visual acuity no doubt dwindling. Despite his incessant assertions to the contrary, I couldn't help but think that he derived some abstract sexual amusement from this, some sort of staring into the eyes of your lover thing. But despite the incredibly uncomfortable experience of that hour, soon to be described, he at no point exhibited any behavior which would suggest arousal. About 10 minutes in, the strangeness of the experience was doubled. Hold on, I had a nasty lip pop. About 10 minutes in, the strangeness of the experience was doubled. From below and then far behind me, I heard a shifting clamor, as if a group of people had ascended from the basement stairs and gathered just before the kitchen, chatting excitedly. I was going to turn. The ad hadn't mentioned the presence of others, but the man's eyes seemed to almost plead with me to remain focused on him. He didn't speak a word, though. Resisting instinct, I kept my gaze fixed on him and listened to the noise of the crowd behind me. The weird thing was that while I could hear them talking, and even mentally differentiate between speakers, I couldn't understand a single word that was spoken. They had moved into the kitchen by this point, but none of the words were intelligible to me. And even weirder was that it was obvious they were speaking English. I could recognize the nuance and structure of the language. The man's eyes imparted nothing beyond the unspoken insistence that I keep mine on him. My inability to recognize the words, which were clearly English, troubled me greatly, and I started saying words in my head to reassure myself that I had not somehow forgotten the language. I couldn't check exactly how much time had passed, the timer being too far out of my peripheral vision, but about 40 minutes into the experience, the voices were right behind me, in the great room. There were perhaps 12 distinct voices, all chattering and laughing and speaking some unrecognizable variants of a language I'd been speaking for nearly 2 decades. Women, men, and children conversed just behind me. Not a single one, for even a moment, being understandable. I was terrified. Their appearance and migration from the basement to right behind me was strange, yes, but the possibility that something was wrong with me, that I might have had some sort of a stroke or neurological slip-up, was far worse. My eyes had stayed on the man, but my mind had momentarily receded, turning over these bleak possibilities. Upon returning my focus to the man, I saw that he was crying. Inaudibly, of course, but the tears were there, the lips slightly quivering. Instinct almost compelled me to ask what was wrong, but I stopped myself, both for the sake of the experience and a new fear that speaking would somehow draw the attention of the partiers to me. And for some inexpressible reason, I was sure that getting their attention was not something I wanted. A new terror dawned then. What if the group continued their movements, and they pressed forward, swarming around us? With each second that passed, I grew more certain that seeing these people would cause something horrible to happen. Their voices did grow louder, but no closer in proximity. I started to shake. My heartbeat quickened, and my breathing became labored. I tried to calm myself, but the presence of those people behind me was so dreadful, in a way that I still cannot find the words to properly describe. Against my control, as I shuddered, I let out a low moan. It was barely audible, more of a release of air than proper emission of the vocal cords, but the man's eyes grew wide with terror, and from behind me, for the first time, I heard something I could understand. "Oh, would someone like to join the party?" I froze in place. Even my heart seemed to quiet its movement. The noise behind me still continued, but with considerably less people causing it. The attention of several members had apparently been drawn from the conversation. Drawn to me. I became like a statue, not even allowing myself to blink. The man's eyes remained wide, but he'd stopped crying. He stared at me with what I can only describe as mindless terror. Despite my earlier belief that seeing these people would bring about some horrible event, I tried to see within his eyes even a dim reflection of the scene behind me, but nothing was reflected. Not even his thoughts. I could have sworn I heard a request to join the party. A woman's voice. "Think it was one of our dear old dad's friends?" A man's voice. "Ha! That old fool couldn't keep a friend if his life depended on it. You two sure saw to that." A third voice, another man. A chorus of disconcerting laughter erupts. "Oh, well, shall we go back downstairs?" The others who hadn't spoken seemed to respond in agreement, although I couldn't understand them. As gradually as they had come, the voices went away, returning downstairs and eventually fading to inaudibility. A few minutes later, the timer beside us went off, indicating that the hour had passed. The man almost collapsed at this moment, sagging back in his seat and breathing raggedly. I went to help him, but he held up a hand, dismissing me. Before I could say anything, he cried out, "Thank you, thank you," and repeated the same multiple times between breaths. He'd started crying again, although these tears seemed to be from relief, or maybe even joy. After a few moments of this, he recovered himself and sat upright in his chair. He gestured to the box and said, "The money is yours. You're free to go. Thank you, sincerely, for accompanying me during this time, for noticing me. Please, take the money and leave this place. I'll be heading out by myself soon enough." Despite the utterly bizarre experience, I didn't want to ask any questions. That migratory horde of partiers had scared the shit out of me, and I didn't want to remain in the home any longer than I had to. I grabbed and pocketed the money, not bothering to count it, and walked away, waving behind me as I went. I made my exit as quickly and quietly as possible. I closed the door, relieved that I hadn't heard rushing footsteps ascending the stairs. My friend was still parked right outside, right where I left him. I got into the car and let out the heaviest sigh of my life. "Guess he was a no-show, huh? Not surprised, no one just gives away $5,000. "What are you talking about?" I took the money out of my pocket and showed it to him. He looked at the money and then to me with an expression of incredulity. "But you were only in there for 5 minutes. Did you steal it?" I laughed. The kind of nervous laugh you let out when someone says something extremely odd or after you just survive some perilous experience. In my case, either one could have been the cause. I eventually composed myself and said, what are you talking about there? I was there for an hour. The money was in a locked box with a timer set for that exact amount of time. My friend's expression went from one of disbelief to worry, and he pointed at the clock on his radio. I remembered what time it had been when I left the car and saw that only 5 minutes had passed since then. I stared at the clock and then turned my gaze to the money as if it would somehow reconcile the disparity in perceptions of time. What exactly happened there? He asked softly, which made me feel even worse. I didn't want him to think I was crazy or that I had hurt someone and stolen the money, but to avoid the former suspicion, I couldn't tell him about what actually happened. I looked around, first at the house and the rest of the neighborhood, but saw no excess of cars which could account for the presence of the partiers. Also, it was noon on a Tuesday, not exactly the prime circumstances for a party. Please, just drive. I wanted to get away from the house. Not until you tell me what happened. Firmer, but not yet confrontational. I took a moment to consider my options, then told him a version of the truth that didn't make me sound crazy. I didn't mention anything about the roving crowd of people. I told him about the experience with the man and said that it must have seemed longer than it really was, or that maybe he had set the timer wrong. My friend listened quietly, and once I had finished, he sat silent for a moment, staring at the house through my window. I thought he was going to accept my answer, but without saying anything, he got out of the car. Before I could stop him, he jogged across the lawn and went into the house. I should have gone in with him, but my nerves prevented me from re-entering. He returned a few minutes, silently entering and starting the car. Well? I really meant, well, what did he say? It was empty. Completely empty. No one was inside. There wasn't even a single piece of furniture. He pulled away from the curb and started driving down the street. I didn't know what to say, so I said nothing, and he dropped me off at my house without saying another word. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know what happened to me in that house, but the money is real enough. I've already used some of it to buy food. My friends didn't want any of it. I can understand that, I guess. I don't know what he believes. I don't know what I even believe, but hopefully he doesn't think I did something terrible. Maybe he thinks I made the whole thing up, although there's really no way I would have been able to gather 5,000 together, certainly not for some prank. Regardless of the truth, the money is real, and for that, I'm thankful. Well, that was also weird. We had a very strange series of stories this time around, I noticed. Oh, also, hold on, I'm fixing this right now. Boop, boop, boop. Boop, 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 boop. If you guys would like, doop doop, boop boop boop. Yeah, I'm kind of curious. So, like, is the implication that it was that it was a ghost story type situation? Is that what I'm understanding here? My assumption is it was a ghost, or like a ghost-esque story of like the demons coming up from hell type shit. I don't know. That was an unusual story. We had a couple of unusual stories. But I'll take it. Not gonna be mad about it. Let's see here. Okay. No, John, you are the demons. So I am done with this subset. So if you guys want to hear more of those stories or some of the other stuff that I have, a lot of the scary stories are going up on Chilling. I am going to start dumping creepypastas back onto my YouTube channel. Again, with references to Chilling for more. I just have not had time. Otherwise, I am still doing the narrations, like the ASMR narrations and stuff that are being written. So thank you for the patience there. Otherwise, though, a new video went up yesterday. If you guys want to go on an adventure with us, Ellis and I went to oh god, Crater Lake. I don't know why I fucking forgot the name of that, but it's fine. Yeah, we went to Crater Lake, which is great. Okay, let me do this. Do. Yee. At least we know that this works now. Because my big concern is I was not confident. I was not confident that this would work. Oh, is that not? But, okay. I think we're good. Yeah, give me a second. I'm just trying to finalize files and stuff, so thank you for your patience. Thank you for your patience. Thanks. I really appreciate it. Thanks. Maybe one day when we're all cats. That's also not what I meant, but that's fine. Yeah, it's how I think it's a camera issue for the actual translation of the app to my computer. Because again, the CPU on this computer is not like this computer was not meant for this. So I think that's part of the issue. Which is fine, but you'll notice that that doesn't happen depending on what I'm utilizing. Or what program. And right now I'm using like my webcam. So I bet you if I swap to my phone, it would not be the same. Which could be part of the issue. Yeah. Okay. That's not what I wanted. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that's good. This is now a thing. Custom commands. Okay. Now we have a thing. Great. Oh, that didn't work. Hold on, let me see. It's weird that that's not working right, but that's fine, I guess. Okay. So all of the links should be live now. And then I sent you guys the giveaway link if you decide to use it. So that's good. Also, apparently I can make coupon codes, which is kind of nice. So awesome. Advil. Oh, it'll get done. Ads will be over in a moment. Okay. I think everything should be good. Okay, cool. So that's done. And then I just need to record and upload all of this. All right. One moment. Okay. File, export. All right, I'm just uploading these, so bear with me a second here. Commercial. There we go. Okie dokie. That's fine, whatever. So all you guys are seeing in real time is just, so thank you for being patient while I get through this. All right. I will tell you. Everybody say goodbye to, we have not had the opportunity. So, yes. Okay. I mean, that's fair enough. Probably. She's a lot less angry, to be fair. Bam is the one who is that way, usually. Most of the time. Anyway, that's usually Bam, but... Ugh. So I'm gonna look really quick. I have a lot more that I'm supposed to narrate. I need to get Callista's as well. But I don't know if I want to start that today or not. Let me do that. Oh wow. Hold on. Oh, now it's tilted. What the fuck? What the fuck? Okay, hold on. Okay, I think you're less tilted now. You should be less tilted now. Okay. So, but I also have a lot of other shit that I need to get rather than later. And go from there. Okay, there we go. Okay, got it. Oh no, please don't do this to me. Why are we doing this? Don't do this. Wait, what? Oh, okay, there we go. That's about how that would go. That's viable. That's a lot more viable, to be completely fair. Okay, so everything looks good. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here, because I've got nothing left as far as that goes. If I do wind up narrating further, because that one is a spicy novel, it'll probably be later this afternoon, and I also need lunch. So, also, thanks, Trixie, for resubscribing. I appreciate it. We're going to find somebody to go and harass. So let me see, who do we have that we can go and harass. Hold on. I'm gonna drop you guys off with somebody fun to be babysat by. We're gonna have fun. It's gonna be a fun babysitter. Oh, I know who we're gonna go. I know who we're gonna go see. We're gonna go see Max. So Abba is playing Marvel Rivals. So we're gonna go raid. We're gonna go raid Max. So let's do that. I think that's a good plan. Let's go ruin Max's day. So hop in with the most unhinged bullshit that you guys can, and then throw him some ass. I think that sounds like a good time. We're gonna go raid him now. Let's go.
Yeah. Wait, Hawkeye, what's your name? You want me to give you the name?
He's got the weirdest